You are now watching the Ball N Beatz Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Ball N Beatz Podcast, as we are on episode 122 of Ball N Beatz. I'm joined here by Logan and Asa. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
We're doing great. It's a great day. Crazy, hectic weekend here of some college football we're going to talk about here pretty shortly. But, Asa, how you doing, sir?
Alive and kicking. Finished up this semester yesterday, and boys, let's just say I'm gonna enjoy my break.
Oh, yeah, we all are. It's a much-needed break here.
Well-deserved.
Well-deserved as well. So we talked about mentioning college football. Why don't we just get right into it? So we had the conference championship games last week. Obviously, there was a lot of good games. But, Asa, I feel like we got to start about your Cyclones. I don't think they showed up to Jerry World on Saturday.
No, they certainly did not. And it's okay because, like I said last week, it was Iowa State's first 10-win season in program history, and they just signed Matt Campbell to an 8-year extension contract. But that game, no. You're exactly right. Iowa State did not show up. But we were there. And you're not going to stop Cam Scadaboo. And that's just the cold, hard truth. And the defense, Arizona State's defense, it was just turnover after turnover after turnover after turnover. Yeah. So
you can only fumble the ball so many times.
Yeah,
you can only fumble the ball and throw a couple picks so many times. In that second half, the wheels just fell off.
Yeah, it was a tough game to watch, but you got to give Arizona State credit. They
oh my gosh,
they went out there and that team looks tough, and they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs for sure.
1,000%. And for me, it was winner of that game. I'm rooting for him in the playoff. Yeah. So. Shout out Big 12.
Shout out Big 12.
That was a phenomenal closing for Big 12 football as a season.
It was a fun season for the Big 12.
It was a great season for the Big 12.
It was a great season for the Big 12. The team that ends up winning the conference was predicted to be last in the conference preseason. Yeah. Cam Scadaboo, Sam Leavitt, Kenny Dillingham, and what they've done out there in Tempe this season, they were in the absolute gutter as a program 2 years ago. Herm Edwards and everything that transpired. And previous coaching staff before, Arizona State, they have the facilities, they have the capability as a program to be massive and be a exceptional program at the football level. They have the biggest student body, or one of the biggest student bodies in all of collegiate athletics and college in general. Yeah. Arizona State's going to be in a good spot with Kenny Dillingham. Yes, we've talked a lot about Indiana on this show. Arizona State deserves just as much talk, and he also should be Coach of the Year.
Yeah,
if they could do Coach of the Year, it should go to both Kurt Cignetti and Kenny Dillingham.
I agree, because they both turned around programs that have kind of been gutter trash for a while. And you know what? We didn't get to the man that is sitting at home, Alan. I'm so sorry about that. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm great, Spencer. You just forgot about me, I guess.
I'm so sorry, buddy.
That's a good job, Spencer. There you go.
Man,
you live and you learn. You live and you learn.
What was your biggest takeaway from conference championship weekend, Alan?
Oregon looks like the team to beat. I watched the ending of the Texas-Georgia game, and I was like, this Georgia team, it's not looking good. I mean, the injury to the quarterbacks already looks bad, but now you can't carry that. I'm sure they can make it to the end. But Oregon was on a different level, especially after the Big Ten championship. I can't really see anyone stopping them.
Yeah, I know. I got to completely agree. I think the SEC championship game, Texas and Georgia showed in that game that the SEC has beaten up on each other this year, because that was not a great game. It was competitive, but quarterback play wasn't great. And obviously, Carson Beck got hurt. And I think that's going to be a big question mark for Georgia going into this playoffs.
You know what, though? I think Stockton, his inexperience did not show. I think he came in there. He got He got a touchdown right off the bat when he came in.
Yeah.
Like, there was a moment. He threw an interception, and it didn't even cost him the game.
Yeah,
You
they
know what I
did
mean?
bring back Carson Beck in on that final
They brought
drive
him
in
on
the
that final
overtime.
drive.
Because Stockton got hurt.
Yeah, but he got rocked.
Yeah.
He got rocked, absolutely just drilled. But yeah, I don't think that it's going to be a problem for Georgia. I mean, they have they have it on lockdown. They're going to be
They have
fine.
the athletes.
They have the athletes
Yeah.
to make.
to make up for a.
They can make
quarterback
up
that might be
for
out.
poor quarterback
That's what I'm
play.
saying. They have a
And
run
honestly,
game.
Gunnar Stockton still wasn't like poor.
No.
He still showed promise, I
Oh,
think. Carson Beck, the issue is, he's more than likely, from what I've heard, probably not going to be available for the Sugar Bowl, at
Yeah,
least,
this
when they
first
are
game.
supposed to play the winner of Notre Dame and Indiana. But I think Georgia, they still have arguably the best athletes on a football field any given day.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still going to be a force to be reckoned with. But, man, I don't know.
You can get average quarterback play from Georgia, and they can still go
Yeah.
on and make a run in this playoffs.
You don't need a good quarterback at Georgia.
You never have. You
No.
don't need that
No.
elite quarterback. You need a game manager.
And I'm going to be
that's
honest,
right.
you don't have like a star-studded quarterback in the playoffs this year, in my opinion.
I think the
Dylan
closest you
Gabriel.
have is Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a Heisman finalist. He's not going to win it, but he's the closest thing we have to a star-studded quarterback. If Cam Ward in Miami would have not slipped up, Shadur Sanders, if Colorado didn't slip up a couple times, I think we'd have a lot more electrifying players. And the only Heisman finalist that's even in the playoff is Ashton Genty with Boise State.
No.
Dylan Gabriel.
Oh, yeah, Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
Duh. But I digress. There isn't a lot of star players. And if you even look at the past Heisman Trophy winners, the last two didn't even make the playoff in the 14 playoff. So we've seen a lot of the best players in college football not necessarily be up for a national championship here in the last few seasons.
Yeah.
So, Heisman finalist, I think, is coming up this weekend as well, or the following
Travis
weekend.
Hunter's going to win.
It's gonna. I mean, he just won
Yeah.
the AP Player of the Year.
And I
award.
think that Ashton Genty, and I think it should be him since he's only, I think, 150 yards away from Barry Sanders' record of all-time rushing yards in a season. But Travis Hunter is just a versatile player. Does he play both positions in the NFL? I don't. I think, to me, he plays better receiver, and I think he'd be a lot better receiver depending on where he goes. Actually, I think will be the biggest test. If he goes to a place like Jacksonville, I think wide receiver would be a best fit for him.
I
But
think they would utilize. That's the one team I think that would need.
that
both.
would utilize him the most
Yes.
because they need a receiver. They need a star receiver.
They also need a corner. They don't really have the greatest.
they need a lot.
They need everything.
They need a lot. So
They basically have Daniel Jones at quarterback with longer hair too. So let's just not act like that's not the
he ain't
case.
that. He's not Daniel Jones.
Fun fact: Trevor Lawrence is the first quarterback to throw an interception to a dead man.
Okay,
Yep.
there you go.
There's your Asa trivia of the day.
Appreciate it,
Aces
Asa.
trivia.
Appreciate it, Asa, very much. Let's talk about this playoff format though, because we're looking at the seeding here, and we have all four conference champions get the bye.
Yep.
But it almost is better off if you lose your conference championship. Am I tripping? Because
Penn State
yeah.
has the easiest path of anybody.
Yeah, and-
They play SMU at home. SMU's good. They're not great. And then they play Boise State. Boise State has a running back, and that's it. Their quarterback is not good, and they don't have an offense if their running game doesn't work. And then if they win that game, then they'd play Georgia most likely. But it's a fact that I think it's flawed. I think they need to go back and they need to see, and I think this is going to be a big testament because every point spread of the first round is at least a touchdown.
Yeah.
Is at least a touchdown for every game. And it's right, and I agree with it. But I think that you shouldn't have top four conference champions get buys. I think that you should get a playoff spot. I don't think you should get a bye if you're a team like Arizona State or Boise State. I think that should go to a team like maybe Penn State, who actually played really good against Oregon, or Ohio State, or Texas, or like a team that actually is in a top four.
The actual
because you
rankings,
have
yeah.
actual rankings, and then you have the playoff ranking format. And you can say what you want about the games. I think the first round matchups are going to be pretty good. I think that the Ohio State Tennessee game is going to be a very good game. But it's just the fact that I think they need to go back and they need to reconsider things. I think that they need to go back because the top four seeds being conference champions, I don't agree with that because I personally don't believe a team like Boise State deserves a bye. I think it should go to a team like either Texas, Ohio State, or like a top team.
Yeah.
I think Boise State deserves their seeding. I think they deserve to be in that top 4 and get a bye. I mean, they went 12-1. Look at Oregon, man. They're 13-0, and they have the hardest road in the playoffs. So I think, and I'm going to give the committee some grace here. I think this is their first year. They're figuring it out, how it's going to work from here on out. But I think I disagree with Boise State getting a bye. I think looking at it from a record perspective, and then you'd be like, well, Notre Dame should be it because they're 11-1. Yeah, well, they didn't play a conference. They don't.
In this format, they're the only team that can't be
and,
top 4.
And the thing is, they won't ever be top 4 because of that, and that's something Notre Dame's just going to have to live with.
For me, I think it's the record that
I understand that. No, I get that. To me, it's Boise State has not been playing good the past month. They barely eked out wins against average or below average Mountain West schools. The Mountain West outside of UNLV.
Can't be talking about Northern Illinois like that now.
Oh yeah, because NIU might be that is so dumb, man. The MAC is supposed to be a family. The MAC's the one conference where nothing should change.
Don't blow it up.
Of course, now it's going to change because of NIU.
Don't blow it up, NIU.
Toledo was
don't ruin it
there too a while ago, but
Toledo to the Big Ten.
Toledo to the Big Ten. only in the video game. Back on your talk though, I don't even blame the committee at all because the committee, they had nothing to do with this format. They followed the format and what they're told to do.
Listen, man, Alabama's not in it, so I'm loving it.
The thing is,
they didn't deserve it.
This format to me, what they need to do, I agree with the whole just have the top 4 be the top 4 and every conference champion gets an automatic spot regardless.
Top 5 for conference champion.
Top 5. But what you need to do after the first round matchups is just reseed.
Yep.
Just like it's the NFL playoffs. Say Clemson beats Texas. They should have to play Oregon automatically in the next round.
I completely agree.
Because you have the 2-7 matchup, but say the 7 wins, they automatically would play the 1 seed in the NFL playoffs. So have that same format in the collegiate level. Then instead of having the 8-9 automatically play the 1, the 5-12 automatically play the 4, and then you got it all lopsided because of the conference champions being automatic buys. Why Boise State is a 3? Yes, you're right. They're 12-1, but they haven't looked great necessarily in the last month of football, like Spencer said.
Has Ohio State?
Ohio State hasn't looked great. They looked great, and then they looked really
Clemson
bad.
Ever looked good? I don't think.
I'm not disagreeing. They did. Granted, Boise State's only loss is
Oregon.
a 3-point loss to Oregon.
Yeah,
right.
Was at the beginning of the season, and they actually should have won that game.
Yes.
I mean, Oregon had to run back 2. I think it was a kickoff and a punt. It was 2 special teams plays just to win that game. But it's the fact that I don't think I think Boise State should be the playoffs. I don't.
Yeah, there's no argument.
There's no argument there.
Yeah.
My thing is, you got a team like Penn State who went toe-to-toe with Oregon, just like Boise State did. But Penn State, man, I can't trust James Franklin, though.
No.
That's the problem. And the biggest part about this playoffs is I think the best seeds lose your conference championship because you got a team like Penn State who has an easy road, and the most sought-out seed has got to be the 5.
5 or 6.
Because you play the lowest-ranked conference champion or lowest-ranked team in the playoffs, and then you play the 4 seed, which is the next lowest conference champion, and then probably the 1 seed. But you have an easy path to the semifinals.
Right, then it's just one game right there.
Then it's just one game, and then you're in the natty.
And you're already warmed up, and you could play the 1 seed who has had less time to play.
Yeah, I just think it needs to be, like Logan said, I think reseeding is a really good idea. I think that if Clemson beats Texas, they should play Oregon, because Oregon has a very tough path.
The hardest.
And they were the only team that was undefeated this year, that finished undefeated. And obviously reseeding and all that stuff, and you need to have teams put in different places. The top 4, I think, should be just the top 4 overall teams, but the committee will go back and we'll see how the playoffs form out, because maybe this is a good thing. Maybe a team like Boise State can win a game. Right. I don't see it, but maybe it, or...
And the thing is, I do think with this format, though, I think now there's no more arguments of, should Bama have gotten in? We got left out. There's no argument because I will say this. Yeah, Boise State, I do agree, should probably be ranked lower in the seeding, but what happens on the field also has to matter.
Yep.
And Bama had their chance multiple times. They ended up beating some of the best teams in the SEC while also losing to mediocre
Lost to
and
Vanderbilt.
below average teams
Lost
in
to
6 and 6.
blown
bad
out,
Oklahoma.
blown out at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And the whole Oklahoma game is what sealed it. People can talk about, the Vandy loss, but once you get blown out by a very mediocre Oklahoma team, and I'm not going to lie, I think Jackson Arnold
Doesn't have a quarterback.
Jackson Arnold, who's hitting the portal, I think is going to do much better at his next spot. He was a
State.
5-star quarterback across all recruiting places. Oklahoma's just got their own issues. But
Losing to Oklahoma with a week left in the regular season, you're done.
yeah, the one thing a lot of people don't talk about Oklahoma this year, they were down pretty much 5 starting wide receivers as well.
Yeah,
This
they
was
were injured.
Oklahoma
badly.
was literally a emergency room at their wide receiver position all season. Jackson Arnold did what he could, and they threw in Michael Hawkins a couple times, but Oklahoma, this was the worst Oklahoma offense in a long time simply because they were so banged up.
Yeah.
But Bama, they had their chances. There's no argument. And I think a pretty universal across the board, most people will say you had your shot and you didn't do it.
No, Alabama didn't deserve it. I will say SMU hasn't beaten anybody this year. They won 11 games. They made their conference championship.
And they were ranked higher
at the time. And they should have beaten Clemson. That they should have.
Well, they came back.
That was
Clemson,
an incredible
they came back.
finish.
It was an
yeah.
incredible comeback, and I mean, what a job by that kicker to hit a 57-yarder as a freshman. And give credit to Clemson because now they're in the playoffs again. So,
Alan, what are your opinions?
I definitely agree with the reseeding part. I don't think it comes with the 12-team playoff. I think it'll come when they expand. I'm not going to lie. I think they're going to expand to 16 teams by the end of this whole thing. I think that this is more of a test run to see how the playoffs would work.
Yeah.
And I do think that there are teams that shouldn't really have it an easy path, kind of like Penn State. I mean, it's great that I don't know, it's a weird thing because it's just the first time doing it. I know people had their problems with the committee and like how they selected it, but again, this is your first time doing it, something new, so I just think we gotta wait and see.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And with the seeding thing, it's like you look at a team like Ohio State. They have Tennessee. They win that. They play Oregon. They win that. I mean, they could play Arizona State. They could play who's a
Texas.
good team, Texas. And then if they win that, Georgia. I mean, they're playing the top 4 teams. And Oregon, it's the same thing. The 1 seed and the 8 and 9 is arguably the hardest seeds because you're playing the best. And then you got a team like Penn State who can play Boise State and it's got SMU at home, which, SMU they should win. It's going to be a whiteout too, which I think is actually pretty cool that they're doing that again. And then they're playing Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl. They just need to be reseeded. I think it's a simple thing of they're going to go back and they're going to look at this depending on how the playoffs how everything pans out. I think that either way they should do reseeding because I don't think it's fair to a team that like Oregon, who went 13-0, won every game, won their conference champion, to have arguably one of the toughest paths.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because either Tennessee or Ohio State for your first game is not going to be easy.
Ooh, no.
And it'll be in
not.
the Rose Bowl too. But
There's already talks I've seen that after this contract's up in 2026 that they could move to a 14-team format. But to be fair, I agree with Alan. I think he's right saying that 16 is probably going to be the final number where they settle on because most of all divisions in college football, D1, FCS, D2, D3, all are at like 16 or 24 teams in their playoff.
So that means then that 2 or 3 group of 5 schools
Have a
get it.
probably
Yeah.
a possibility.
you're going to get an
there.
8 and 4. You're going to get an 8 and 4 team in the playoffs.
If you go to 16 though, I think you need to get rid of the bye system and have 1 play 16, 8 play 9.
Yeah, just have 1 through 16.
1 through 16 like it's a high school
like
bracket.
March Madness.
Or March Madness.
Which is also getting expanded now.
No, that's just talk.
It better not.
They're
It's
going to
not-
expand.
There's already
It's-
enough.
Dude, they're
college
going to
basketball
expand.
teams.
It's about money. It's about money, and they're going to get a ton of money from these. The market deals are going to go crazy.
I'm not gonna complain. I mean, that's the best.
No, I don't
That's
agree
the best
with it.
month in sports. So
That's fair.
March Madness is
I
awesome.
do want to ask this question though. Who do we think is like one dark horse team we feel like could legitimately make a run in this playoff?
Sun Devils. I love this Arizona State team. Or Ohio State. One of the two. I know.
Ohio State's got like the fourth highest odds to win it,
I
though.
got a feeling about OSU. And it's going to depend on how they play against Tennessee. I could be biased, but I think this team's going to play pissed off. I think that this team knows this is their last run. This is the last game. All these guys are going to be gone, almost everybody. And I think they're going to have a point to prove. And with Arizona State, I mean, what a fun team. I mean, Kenny Dillingham has done a fantastic job, and he should be. I mean, him and Kurt Cignetti should be co-coaches of the year. I mean, they both done incredible things for both programs. And Dillingham's going to get a lot of looks at a lot of high-level programs. I don't think he leaves because I think that he wants to build something at ASU, and he also is from there. He graduated there. But, I mean, Cam Scatterbo, Sam Levitt, this team is just – they're built right. And this defense, they showed out against Iowa State, which is a very, very good team. And Arizona State, I think, is playing the hottest out of anybody right now.
Yeah.
They've gone on a winning streak ever since losing to Cincinnati. They've won. I think they're at six or seven straight wins. And I mean, it's gonna be a fun matchup if it ends up being Texas or Clemson against Arizona State. It's gonna be a really fun game.
I think for me, my dark horse, absolutely no bias here. I've mentioned how much I dislike this team on this podcast. My dark horse is Penn State. I think Penn State has, they've just lost to Oregon, but everything's clicking for them right now. And I hate the coaching. I hate it. But
shout out James Franklin.
Yeah, James Franklin. I don't know how you're still there, honestly, but Penn State for me. They've got one of the easiest routes to the championship. So for me, it's Penn State.
I think Penn State, and they looked really good against Oregon. Mm-hmm. I gotta give them credit. They played a really good game, and if their defense even would have somewhat showed up, they would have won.
Despite some crucial mistakes in that game, they stayed in it.
Yeah, they did. Their offense, Drew Aller had a fantastic game.
Should Tyler Warren actually win the Heisman Trophy? If we're talking snaps here. Am I wrong?
A tight end.
Am I wrong?
That's crazy.
He's tight end. He's tight end, fullback, quarterback, wide receiver. Might as well have him as punt returner and gunner on punt returns.
Alan. Sorry, Logan.
My dark horse. Mine's Tennessee. I'm not gonna lie. At the start of the whole selection process, I didn't think Tennessee was gonna make it. I thought that they would have chose Alabama over Tennessee, but that Oklahoma loss for Alabama.
Yeah, it would have been it was SMU or Bama.
But this Tennessee team, I mean, when we get to the picks, I have Ohio State winning that game. But this Tennessee team, they could be a dangerous SEC pick. Ohio State, even though they did lose to Michigan, they'll still be the same Ohio State that we all know.
Yeah, choking big moments?
Yeah,
hey, they're not playing Michigan. Maybe. They can't choke. They're not playing Michigan.
If Tennessee wears winged helmets, I think we're screwed.
Yeah.
But other than that,
yeah. But Tennessee would be my pick. I think Tennessee, if they do win, I do think that they could make it far. So we'll see.
To be honest, I actually think Penn State or Tennessee aren't necessarily dark horses. I think that both are just elite teams, and I think Penn State is – I shouldn't say elite teams because there's no elite teams this season. Mm-hmm. No. But for this season's elite, we'll call them elite. For me, it's Notre Dame. I know that they haven't necessarily played the greatest schedule, and they did lose to Northern Illinois in week 2.
Legendary.
The Mountain West champs. But in reality, they've gotten better and better every single week. Jeremiah Love, very underrated running back, and is probably going to be the best in college football next season, in my opinion. Great in the trenches always. And they have arguably the second best safety in college football in Xavier Watts on their side, Texas transfer. Notre Dame, I think, is getting hot at the right time. And Riley Leonard, I know what people will say about Riley Leonard. He's a guy who's going to run the ball more, and he's not great. He's not accurate passing the ball. Riley Leonard's pretty competent. And I like Notre Dame a lot. I think that they have a favorable matchup against Georgia, hypothetically speaking. And I wouldn't be shocked if Notre Dame were to move on to the semifinal or somehow pull it off, make a national championship. But they also could lose to Indiana.
They could.
That's the thing about this playoff. I think the prediction for this season and how it's gone, there is no real clear cut.
There's not a clear-cut team that could win it. It's not like there's a 2019 LSU, a 23 Michigan, 2020 Alabama. There's not like that elite like Michelin team. There's just a bunch of really good teams.
Thing is, I think the closest we have is Oregon.
Oregon.
And I think Oregon
And I
is
think
also
Oregon has-
still suspect on defense.
Yeah, I was
agree.
going to say Oregon's secondary is not very good. So
The run after tackles?
run
What
after
is it?
catch.
Run after
Run after
catch.
catch.
Run-
Rack.
yeah. Rack. The rack.
The rack.
Yeah, is nuts. with
Shout out
Oregon.
Chicago.
Love the rack.
Yeah,
Shout out Chicago. And barbecue ribs, too.
there you go.
Absolutely. You guys ready to get into the picks, man?
I think I'm ready to talk some chaos.
Let's go.
Well done. I say we get into our bracket predictions, and why not start off with my own here, as we have the brackets ready. First matchup, Saturday night, 8 p.m., ABC, Scarlet out in the shoe.
Wait, you're telling me it's not a noon game?
It's
I thought
not-
that
it's
was
not
I
big noon-
thought it was illegal.
It's
to
not a big noon kickoff. Somehow, I'm surprised this isn't the noon game. Let's be honest, this is going to be the most watched game of the weekend.
Yeah.
You got two heavy hitters here. Will Howard, Nico Iamaleava,
Lama,
or as you
Lama,
say
Leva.
it.
Lama Lama
Dylan
Leva.
Sampson is a great running back in Tennessee's run game. That's the thing I'm watching for, is the trench
SEC
play.
Offensive Player of the Year. Dylan
Yes.
Sampson.
That's where I'm watching this game, is in the trenches in between Ohio State's defensive line and Tennessee's offensive line, and vice versa. Because Tennessee also has some of the best edge rushers and defenders in the country on the defensive line, too.
Yeah, the edging's crazy.
The edging is very
Yeah,
crazy. This is such a tough one, but I think Ohio State's going to bounce back. I think they're going to try and avenge that loss against Michigan, and they're going to get it done in round one. Moving on down here to this next game, we got the Texas Longhorns and the Clemson Tigers. This one for me is tough to pick, honestly. Granted, seeding-wise, Clemson's last in the playoff. This one's a tough one for me to pick. Texas, to me, is the Indiana of the SEC if you look at their schedule. They haven't played a lot of great teams, necessarily. Their best win is against arguably a 7-5 Florida squad and Michigan this year, going up to the Big House. Clemson, yeah, they've had some weird hiccups. They throw me off. Dabo sucks. I hate Clemson.
Yeah, I do too.
I like Cade Klubnik a lot. He's gotten better and better as he's played and progressed at Clemson. And I like their running back, Phil Maffa, a lot as well. A lot of people are going to be surprised by this, but the Clemson Tigers are going to upset the Longhorns this weekend. They're going to go into Austin, and they're going to upset Texas. I hear someone laughing in the
Crack is
background.
crazy.
Crack is crazy. I appreciate it. As Notre Dame will host Indiana on, I believe that's the Friday night game on at 8 o'clock. First time Notre Dame's having a home game not on NBC since 1991. Fun fact.
Tickets for this game, crazy.
Astronomical.
$1,000.
It's a battle for Indiana,
That's
bro.
called-
It's like $1,000 for two tickets.
It's extortion. It's extortion at its finest. But to me, Indiana's been a great story. I just think Notre Dame has the pieces, and I like the Irish to get it done and move on to play Georgia. It's been a great story with Curtis Rourke and Kurt Signetti and all those guys in Bloomington. It's just not meant to be. You know what I mean? You're a basketball school for a reason. Penn State, SMU, that's the noon game on Saturday in a whiteout. Haha, big noon kickoff in State College. Get wrecked, scrubs. Regardless, SMU, you should go back to the American. Nittany Lions all the way.
Yeah. No, I the only one I don't agree with is Clemson. I think that's crazy, but I think I agree with the Notre Dame pick. I think that's going to be a blowout. And Penn State, I think that's going to be a tougher game. I think I like SMU in the way that they were playing, but I agree with the Penn State winning.
What do you think, Asa?
I think we'll see when it's time for my picks.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. We'll move on here to the next round, the quarterfinal. Oregon, Ohio State. You know, as a fan,
Talk about a first round
Ohio
pull
State.
for the Ducks.
You're talking about Ohio State, Oregon 2.0, now on a neutral field. This one would be in Pasadena in the Rose Bowl. Ohio State's had some great Rose Bowl games over
I'm
their
glad
history.
it's the Rose Bowl because you have an old Pac-12 versus an old Big Ten. That just seems right.
It
That
seems
does.
right.
It just seems
It
right.
seems right. You know, we thought this game would happen 3 times this season.
Should have.
And to be honest, at this rate, Ohio State will be lucky if it happens twice. But I think Oregon's just too good, man. I think this team in Dylan Gabriel. They're borderline unstoppable on the offensive side of the ball.
1,000%.
And I know Ohio State is going to be out for revenge and try and get their get back. Ryan Day in those moments tries too hard to get his get back, and he's never able to get his get back. I just don't trust it, and I trust Dylan Gabriel more than I trust Will Howard, and I trust Dan Lanning more than I trust Ryan Day. So, Oregon moving on to the semifinal, excuse me, as Clemson, Arizona State. Arizona State, another fun story, and Cam Scatterbo, great running back, and Sam Levitt. But someone's been here before in a lot of meaningful moments. And why not have the 12th seed get to the semifinal? Give me the Tigers, baby. Come on now. Come on. Clemson in the moment?
They're going to lose by 50 to Texas. Next.
Okay. Notre Dame, Georgia. This is where it gets interesting and maybe one of the harder ones for me to pick because I feel like it kind of depends on who's playing quarterback a little bit. But at the end of the day, one team still has the best athletes in college football, arguably. I got to go with the Bulldogs to get this one. I like the idea of Notre Dame having a bit of a run here, and I think they have the capability. I just think Georgia on all sides just has the best athletes on the field most of the time against anyone they play. And I think Georgia has the pedigree, and they're arguably the best program right now to where Kirby Smart, you got 2 national championships with them right now, and they seem to always be there. So give me the Bulldogs there. And then Penn State, Boise State, the Broncos and Smurf Turf. I love them a lot. But I can't lie. You recall what I predicted last season, preseason, about Penn State?
Yeah,
I said they would win the Big Ten
They were
championship.
going to win the Big Ten championship.
Yeah. I was wrong. They got close, though, this year.
They get close every year.
They get close every year.
And they lose every year.
And so guess what? They're going to get close again. So give me the Nittany Lions to move on to the semifinal here as we have a semifinal between Oregon, Clemson, Georgia, Penn State. Spencer, I know you feel some type of way.
You know, I'm not going to lie. I don't mind it. I don't mind it other than Clemson. I think that's, crazy. This Clemson team has 3 losses. And the one team that's on this list that they played, they lost by 30. On a neutral site.
This is this season of football we're talking about. This is 2007 2.0.
Yeah, no, it could be. Hey, man, congrats to SMU on winning the national championship because that's going to
SMU Arizona State national championship. Ace is just staring at me.
You're gonna see how I feel when it's my turn.
Okay, yeah, let's go. Let's run through it.
All right.
We got 3 other people
Getting to the
do.
national championship. Who's it going to be? Dun, 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 dun.
Clemson.
Clemson's runs over. Oregon has been the best team in college football all season. There's no shot. The Cinderella run for Dabo Swinney is done, and we can forget about him for the rest of eternity. Moving on to the other semifinal, though, and this is where it gets really interesting and a little dicey.
That's a good game.
We're going to have a Big Ten Championship 2.0. Give me the Nittany Lions, Tyler Warren, Drew Aller, and company to beat the Bulldogs.
Looks like they're your dark horse as well, man.
I'm sorry, who's their head coach again?
James Franklin is going to get his first
Who's
big
their
game
head
win
coach?
of all time. Drew, I'm telling you, Penn State has really impressed me the way they've played recently. I like Drew Aller a lot, and no one's been able to stop the run game. The duo that they have with Katron Allen and Nick Singleton, and Tyler Warren, let him play everything.
He's good.
He'll win you ball games. Now, this is where it gets really fun. National
Do not
championship.
do it.
Oh my gosh.
Don't do it.
Oregon Ducks, Penn State Nittany Lions, 2.0, Big Ten championship. Now for the right to win a national championship. And why not let a naysayer know and have all the haters shut up for once and for all? Give me James Franklin and the Penn State Nittany Lions to beat the Oregon Ducks and win the national championship. Hey, I may be crazy.
Maybe.
I might be
Maybe
crazy,
you are.
but Penn State is going to shock the college football world, and they're going to win the national championship against the Oregon Ducks. We're going to have no undefeated team this season. Nittany Lions all the way. We are.
Logan, I'm not gonna lie, man.
Just say he's crazy.
I don't hate it, bro. I don't hate it. I'm not gonna hate on it. I like it. I like the chaos. Like I said, I'm here for chaos, man, and I like it.
It's gonna be great when I lose every single game. My prediction.
No, but
Yeah.
hey, that's what brackets are for, right?
For
You gotta
fun.
have a bracket buster.
The brackets are meant to be busted.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yes.
saying.
You know.
Yeah.
It's what
I like it.
and the March Madness is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Spencer.
Okay, my turn. All right, so I'm actually gonna have logic in my picks.
Oh yeah. Okay.
No,
I don't know. When was the last time you used logic? To be honest with you, sir.
I think this man is just a statistical machine. So I
You're
think
stat man.
he's
Stat
stat
man.
man. He's not Batman.
right.
He's stat man.
So
he's
let's
got
get to
this.
my bracket.
Yeah, let's get to it.
So
Talk to
kind
him.
of like Logan said, the first round. I love these first round matchups. I think that the point spread is a little bit too heavy on some of them, but Ohio State Tennessee is going to be the game of the weekend, in my opinion. I think this game could go either way. It all depends on the mindset of Ohio State. It all depends on how they come out, and if they play like they did against Michigan, Tennessee's going to come in and beat them. I'm going to pick the Buckeyes to beat Tennessee.
Andrew in his head is like, of course
Just
you would.
because Tennessee's offense is not great. Nico Iamaleava he's been decent, but he's a freshman, so I think he's gonna be a lot better next year. I love what Josh Heupel's doing in Knoxville. I just think that Ohio State has more experience. This is Tennessee's first playoff appearance, and it's at home, man. If you want to get booed off the field, lose to Tennessee at home, and Ryan Day will never have any ounce of credibility in Columbus if he loses this game. To the next game, Texas against Clemson. Clemson's a cute story, but they are the most inconsistent offense in all of America. They don't have a good defense. And Texas is, it's in Austin. And I really like the way that Texas is playing. I think they probably should have beaten Georgia. And I'm going to take Texas. I'm taking them because they're at home, 1 and 2. I just don't think Clemson's that good. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't think Dabo doesn't win big games anymore. He doesn't use the transfer portal. And, he recruits well, but he doesn't utilize anything else. This next game is going to be a blowout. I think Notre Dame beats Indiana by 20-plus points. I'm going to be completely honest. I think this Indiana team's been a cute story, but the one team they played, they got humiliated. And I think Indiana, Curtis Works had a great season, the transfer from OU. And this defense, they might as well just be James Madison at this point because every one of their players is from JMU. That's good. That Kamara kid on the defensive line has been very good for them. But I think Notre Dame, they have much better athletes. While I do think Indiana has the favor in the quarterback spot, I think Rourke's better than Riley Leonard. I think Notre Dame has Indiana beaten every other position. So I'm going to take Notre Dame over Indiana. In the next game, yeah, I'm going to agree with Logan that I think Penn State's going to I think they're going to do something. They'll beat SMU. I'm pretty confident they'll beat SMU because the environment in Happy Valley is second to none. It's going to be a whiteout. And while the game is at noon, I still think that it's still going to be a great environment. Sucks to suck that you guys didn't get the night game, but Ohio State hasn't had one in what seems like ages.
Western Michigan,
Western
played them
Michigan
at home
was the
that
last
night.
one, so yeah. Any comments, concerns, complaints?
You're just absolutely out of your mind for thinking Texas is actually that good at football. No, I'm just kidding. I don't necessarily.
Pretty much
It's the same. It's pretty much the same just with Texas. So,
Yeah.
but I don't know. There's just something just telling me Texas. Just stay away from them. I don't know.
It's the beauty of these playoffs. You never know. All right, let's get to the quarterfinals. At the Rose Bowl, it's going to be a fantastic setting. I love when Ohio State plays in the Rose Bowl because I think it's the best. I think it's the best environment in college football. I think it's the best backdrop, and I think it's college football heaven. And like Asa said, what better than a former Pac-12 team against a Big Ten team? This is the hardest matchup in the entire playoffs if it happens. Because I could see it going either way. You can say that Ohio State should have beaten Oregon and Eugene. They probably should have. If there was 7 seconds instead of 6 seconds, Ohio State probably would be higher on this list.
Not with the kicking game they had this season.
Michigan.
Fielding. Yeah, he's still there, unfortunately. You know, I don't know if it's just my fandom, but I got a feeling Ohio State's going to win this game.
Oh, you crazy boy.
I know I picked Oregon to win the national championship at the beginning of the season. I know I did.
We both did.
We both did. I lied. I think Oregon is the best team in the country right now, but they have a ton of flaws. Their secondary is not very good, and for a defensive coach like Dan Lanning, it should be good. Their defensive line is not that great, but their offense puts up a ton of points. They have a fantastic offense. But, man, I mean, Drew Aller was throwing the ball all over the field on them, and they are not good at stopping the run game. And I'm going to go, I cannot believe I'm saying this, with the more experienced team than the playoffs. I'm going to go with Ohio State to beat Oregon in the Rose Bowl, and that's essentially going to be a home game for Oregon. So, to the next game. I believe this is the Sugar Bowl? I believe. I don't know. Texas and Arizona State.
I think it's the Peach Bowl.
Either one of them.
Peach.
I know Logan said that he doesn't think Texas is very good. Yeah, they're not winning more than one game. Give me the Sun Devils, man. Give me Arizona State because I love Cam Scatterbo. I love this Arizona State team. It's fun to see a team that doesn't win a whole lot that's actually really good and go on a run. I think this Arizona State team is the hottest team in college football right now. They're playing the best. They're on a 6 or 7 game winning streak. They just completely obliterated the Cyclones. And, this defense is playing ferocious right now. And this Arizona State team, the running game is the best in the country.
Scary.
And Sam Levitt, Michigan State, you guys have a lot of issues. That was one of them, letting him go. Because Charles was not great. All right, next game. Right. Georgia against Notre Dame. This is a really odd quarterback matchup because I don't know who's playing quarterback for Georgia. I know it is for Notre Dame. Riley Leonard, in my opinion, is not a very great quarterback. I think he's good. He's not great. I'm going to go with what Logan said. Georgia has the better athletes. Georgia has the better talent. And Georgia has the better overall team. While I think their quarterback situation is a little shaky, I think the run game with ETN will be fine. And I think that their defense, they're playing fantastic right now. That Georgia defense is playing ferocious. And the Nittany Lions against the Broncos. I'm going to be completely honest. I think Boise State's overrated. They have not played good the past month. And while they have, their only loss came at Oregon by 3 points. I just think this Broncos team, they haven't been playing good. They barely beat Wyoming, which was one of the worst teams in the Mountain West. And while they have beaten UNLV, which was the second best team in the Mountain West, they haven't played anybody else. And they haven't looked good. Their quarterback is not very good. It's Ashton Genty. If he doesn't run the ball well, we're screwed. So give me Penn State. Give me the Nittany Lions. I can't believe I'm picking James Franklin to make a run in a playoff format, but here we are.
You're nuts. I agree with the bottom half there. The top half, I think you're just setting a team up to look better. You know what I mean?
How's that?
You know what I'm saying? I don't think he really thinks Arizona State would beat Texas. I think he's just trying to have the quote-unquote...
You just told me Texas you don't think is very good. You have Texas losing in the first round.
Exactly. But...
That's contradicting what you said.
I feel like if they were playing Arizona State, they'd beat Arizona State. Now, I think he's just trying to...
Well, then you should have picked Texas to actually win a game.
Well, they weren't going to win a game.
Let's see if he sets it up. Let's see.
Yeah. You know what? He has Arizona State.
Let's see.
Winning it all. The Sun Devils.
I don't know what bowl game this is, but Ohio State against Arizona State. It's going to be a fun game. If Arizona State, I will say the one thing that if they don't get their run game going with Scatterbo, they might be screwed. And Ohio State struggled a little bit on the run game. But I'm taking the more experienced team. I'm going with Ohio State to make the national championship game. You can call me a homer. You can call me a fanboy. You can call me whatever you want.
Fanboy's a good one.
Yeah, I think this team's going to play pissed off. I'm going to be completely honest. And if they don't, Ryan Day should stay in Columbus if they lose to Tennessee at home. I think Arizona State's a great story, and I think they're going to beat Texas because I don't think Texas is as good as people think they are. I just think they're better than Clemson. But I think this Ohio State team, in my opinion, they still have one of the best overall rosters in all of college football. They have one of the, if not the best defense in college football. And their offense, while they play consistent, Michigan's not in the playoffs, so there's not an automatic loss. It's the one thing Ohio State has going for them. So I'm going to pick Ohio State to beat Arizona State. And then Georgia versus Penn State. Georgia's quarterback situation, like I said, it's not great. I mean, Carson Beck is hurt. And while Penn State is playing very good, it's still James Franklin. And when James Franklin if he makes a run, he's not going to win it all. Give me Georgia to make the national championship game to set up a rematch of the Sugar Bowl from 2 years ago that Ohio State probably should have won.
That would be a fun national championship game, don't get me wrong. Carson Beck, if he's going to be playing, who knows? It might be Gunnar Stockton. And if Ohio State can somehow get their head out of their you-know-what and play how they should, there isn't a reason why they shouldn't happen. But, I mean, I think it's fair. I think it's a fair national championship. I think some people think this is going to happen. I don't know. The problem is Ohio State under Ryan Day in the biggest moments have always slipped. And that's my concern.
James Franklin does the same thing.
James Franklin does the same thing.
Yeah.
But sometimes
that's the beauty of this playoff,
that's
man.
True.
It's going to be fun.
That is the
It's
difference.
going to be unpredictable, and it's boring just to go 1 versus 2. So my national championship game, Georgia versus Ohio State. It's a rematch of the Sugar Bowl 2 years ago where Noah Ruggles just stabbed every Buckeyes fan in the heart and kicked
hopefully we don't have to
the
rely
ball
on Jaden
all the way
Fielding.
to Tennessee. It's going to be a great game. This would be 2 fantastic defenses, 2 good, okay offenses, inconsistent at times. In the end, Michigan ain't here. Michigan's not here. That 7-5 team that's playing in a cruddy bowl game, they can beat Ohio State all they want. I could give 2 Fs. Ohio State's winning the national championship game. Ohio State is going to lose to Michigan,
Hold on.
and they're going to come back, and they're going to bring the national championship trophy back to Columbus.
They're going
he
to
say
grab
the
that
very-
Michigan flag and they're going to leave it automatically
They're going to
planted.
plant an Ohio State flag in the middle of where's this game playing?
This game I think is in New Orleans, or is that
That's the
Super
Super
Bowl?
Bowl.
That's Super Bowl. I
don't know where the national
Bro,
It
championship
could be. It
Orlando.
could be in
Bro
Moscow,
said-
Idaho. Well, shout out the Vandals and the Kibby Dome.
Bro literally said, I'm not going to be biased with this. And here we are.
Hold on. Can we just? We're talking about Ohio State and planting the flag. The epitome of soft.
Yeah.
Is a Ohio representative from over this way saying, you know what? It should be illegal to plant the flag at Ohio Stadium.
Yeah.
That is the softest thing I've ever seen in my life.
embarrassing.
If you want a flag to not be planted at midfield, win the damn game.
You know what the funniest thing
Period.
is? I don't think any Ohio State fans even like that.
No.
I don't think
It's
any
the
of them
epitome of a
agree with
Ryan
them.
Day
It's
coach
soft.
team that we argue
Yeah,
about.
it's the
Jim Harbaugh was right. He was born on third base, and he will always be on third base. He never did anything. Ohio State's losing. We suck.
You know
It's all
what?
right.
He may be born on third base, but he's finally going to advance.
He's finally going to hit a triple.
He's finally he's going to hit somebody's going to hit a sack fly for him. That's called his defense because he gets carried, and they're going to carry Ryan Day to a national championship game.
You're a psycho.
So
You're an absolute
Alrighty,
psycho.
Alan.
Alan?
This Ohio State kid. This Ohio
Alan,
State kid, bro.
where's Michigan at?
Hey,
Look,
I'm
it's-
okay with it.
it's the
I got to
ReliaQuest
watch us
Bowl.
beat Ohio State.
The ReliaQuest Bowl? I mean,
They're
the toilet bowl?
They're playing Alabama. Yeah, again. Here we go.
Yeah, we are.
You know, the game that matters more anyway, right?
Yeah, congrats on your regular season win. We'll go enjoy our natty.
If we
That's
lose
not
to
happening.
Tennessee, I'm blaming you
If we lose to Tennessee, I ain't showing up to the podcast.
ever again. No, just-
Alrighty, Alan, let's see your bracket.
yes,
man.
sir.
All right, let's get to it. So obviously, first game, Ohio State, Tennessee. Can't wait. I might watch it. We'll see. But I have Ohio State winning. I know Tennessee's my nice little sleeper pick, but let's be honest. Ryan Day has the experience in the playoffs, and Tennessee, they don't have that much experience. They're a fun team, but Ohio State, I don't think that they lose
Yeah,
it.
Tennessee's here for a good time, not a long time.
Exactly. And then next game, Texas Clemson. I do have Texas winning. I don't know why Logan likes Clemson and Dabo Sweeney so much. That's just all they got. I mean, their offense is inconsistent, and I know what you guys are going to say about Texas, but to me, I agree. Texas should be the SEC champions right now. There were a few calls in that overtime that I don't think that they should have done. Texas shot themselves in the foot with that. So I got Texas winning this one. And then Notre Dame and Indiana was a tough one for me to pick, but I went with Indiana. Notre Dame hasn't really done it for me this year. They've looked okay. I mean, you can't do much when you're not in a conference. They should just join the Big Ten, but that's neither here nor there. And then Penn State and SMU. I have Penn State winning because I like Penn State's defense. Their defense, I think, will help them out a lot more. But Drew Aller has really stepped up from where he was last year to this season. So that is my first round.
It's a fair first
Yeah,
round.
I mean, the first round, there's not much you can choose where it's like, that's insane.
Still no Tennessee pick, though. That's crazy to me.
That might be bad.
Yeah, that might be bad. That might be really, really bad. But, you know, the whole thing with Texas with me, right, and what I think is like, to me, they haven't played anybody, and when they have played a team, they've lost. And I don't know. It's not necessarily that I have a lot of faith in Clemson. It's more so my lack of faith in Texas. Because Texas, any given day, could be the best team in the country. And the first 5 weeks of the season, they kind of looked like that. But they haven't looked the same since Quinn Ewers went down and since he's came back. They have been a completely different team, and their energy has been off. And I think that Clemson has had a lot of talk about them the last couple years, ever since Dabo lost to Ohio State. They've had to deal with a lot of talk with the transfer portal era and stuff, and I think they just want to prove something. You know, I don't know. I feel like there's just one upset that's going to happen in these home games that's going to be like, oh, wow, wasn't expecting that, and I think that's the one.
Yeah. All right, second round, Alan.
Second round. All right, we got what I thought would have been the Big Ten championship game. Unfortunately for Ohio State, they didn't make it. So, sucks to be them.
You're
anyways,
right. You're so
right. I have Oregon winning anyways. Look, I know the first time that they played each other, Ohio State really should have won that game. I'm not going to lie. But I think it's a testament to Oregon, not their defense, but their offense. I don't think Ohio State can outscore Oregon. And I think Oregon's going to have to rely more on their offense than their defense. Granted, Ohio State needs to use their wide receivers, actually use them. But I don't think that they can outscore Oregon. So I think that this is going to be a more high-scoring game. And I'm excited to see what happens with that. And then Texas, Arizona State. Congrats, Arizona State, on a great season. Unfortunately, I think Texas is going to carry this momentum. Texas, I know Quinn Ewers hasn't looked the same. The thing is, I hope, and I know it's not going to happen, I think that they should start Arch Manning if they do beat Clemson and move to Arizona State. Arch Manning he's good, not great, but I do think that this will help him get better. And I do believe that he, right now, is better than Quinn Ewers. But this Texas offense, I think, will steamroll against Arizona State's defense. And then we have Indiana and Georgia. Unfortunately, Indiana's only going to get one win. This Georgia team, if you have a quarterback that knows how to manage a game, you should win with Georgia. Just all-around good school, good team. And then last but certainly not least, I have Penn State beating Boise State. Aston GT is Boise State's offense. And if you have a team that's good on defense like Penn State is, they'll neutralize that run game, and then you're out of luck.
It's fair.
Yeah.
I think this one's the quote-unquote most logical Final Four that we've had so far.
Yeah.
Just horns down, baby. Horns down. They ain't doing nothing. They ain't doing absolutely nothing, Alan. $5 bet they don't make the Final Four. $5 bet. Straight up.
I'll get back to you on that. I'll get back to you
All
on
right.
that one.
All right, fine. Nice.
All right, Alan.
After they
Next
win it.
picks.
Yeah, after they win it. All right, so Final Four. Unfortunately, this is where Texas' story comes to an end. Oregon, again, offensively, I'd say one of the best teams in the country. And I do believe that Oregon will beat Texas to go to the national championship. And then, unfortunately, Penn State, it does come to an end. Georgia will beat Penn State. I think it'll be a close game because of Penn State's defense. But, yeah, Georgia, with game management, they'll win. And then this is going to be the greatest national championship. I think it'll be better than what we're thinking.
See,
and we will get to my championship pick.
Alan, real quick, though. You remember the first head coaching game that Dan Lanning had as a Oregon head coach? It was against his team, the Georgia Bulldogs, where he was the defensive coordinator, and they lost 49-3.
Oh, I remember. Don't worry, I remember.
Could be a different story this time, though, but I don't know. It's just weird. Like, it's full circle. Dan Lanning kind of built underneath Kirby Smart a little bit, and to go up against a guy that he was kind of mentored underneath. It's the new era of Nick Saban guys. Now you got Kirby Smart guys, and Dan Lanning's one of them. So, but yeah, on to your national championship, sir.
My national champions. Give me the Oregon Ducks. They are going to go undefeated this entire season. They will win the national championship.
Quack.
The Mighty Ducks of Oregon.
Their first national championship in school history.
I think they seem primed and
It'll
ready.
be historic.
You know, it will be historic, and they seem to become one of the next powerhouses of college football. Shout out Phil Knight and billionaire money that
He just
kind
gives
of
money to everybody.
brings championships. They'll just buy championships now, the way
Yep.
this goes. All right,
Asa.
Criddle Gyat, your turn.
Alrighty, let's check her out. Let's see what we got going on here.
Oh, boy.
Alrighty. Now,
Might get a little dicey. With
I don't
this.
know if you guys are like me. I know we have the stat man. We have Logan who can make sense, and Alan is just, Alan's usually right on the money. Me, I'm a vibe man. And so for this first game, I've been feeling this team all year for some odd reason. And if you know me, you know I love my country music, so I'm going to go Tennessee for this first game, okay? I don't know what goes on at Columbus on a Saturday night, but dang it, I know what goes on in Knoxville, all right?
Rocky Top.
Rocky Top. All right, for the next game, Clemson sucks. Give me Texas, all right? That's just the vibe I'm feeling for that one. Next game, we got a battle for Indiana, and I'm kind of going for charm of Indiana here. And you have Bloomington, boring, okay? Bloomington's a boring place. South Bend has a little bit of charm here, but you can screw that charm. Give me Indiana, okay?
It's not a lucky charm anymore.
It's not a
if
lucky
you will.
charm no more, all right? Now for this next game, I said they're my dark horse, but you know what is a true horse? A Stang. Okay, give me SMU.
Wow.
So that was
That's my
really-
first round.
I'm not gonna lie, that may have been some of the best wordplay we've ever seen.
Mountain West versus American in the
Mountain West versus
the American.
the real
The-
American,
the real
not
American.
the
ACC.
real
Yeah.
American. That's how I'm feeling.
It's not an ACC.
I'm
thing.
vibing, guys. I'm vibing over
Doesn't
here.
feel like it.
There ain't nothing better, okay, than checking that FanDuel. You know what I'm saying? All right. Straight out vibes. You don't look at stats for FanDuel. You go for vibes. Come on now. Everyone knows that.
Tennessee, honestly.
And I don't even place bets, okay? I just look at it.
Nah,
I have
you
money.
you place bets always. We know you're.
No.
You put the stack on red. We know.
Yep.
We know how you.
No,
roll.
I don't
You know,
I don't place bets.
Tennessee legitimately could do something. I just think everyone here, it's in Columbus. Ohio State should win. Tennessee's
What else was
legit.
in Columbus this year, buddy?
What else was in Columbus this year?
The Indiana game.
Yeah, the Indiana game.
No. The Akron and Marshall game, okay? Just kidding. Alrighty, let's go second round. We're gonna wrap this up because, son, there ain't much to talk about. We've already gone through 3 brackets, and and we've already talked about statistics. We've already talked about the coaching staff and the players. We're vibing over here. Like I said,
we're vibing with the ace.
Tennessee and Oregon. Oregon is the best team in the country, but the wheels fall off sometime. Give me Tennessee. All right. Now we have Texas.
Knoxville's going to get so
Texas,
drunk.
Arizona State. Now, I am a Cyclone fan, and Arizona State upset me this year. But Brock Purdy did pretty darn good against Texas when he was at Iowa State, so give me Texas. Screw the Devils. All right.
Love the logic.
Georgia, Indiana. Okay, stats-wise and vibe-wise, you're never going to choose Indiana, so give me Georgia. All right. Now
3 SEC teams. Yikes.
Now-
All the Big Ten is done. They're cooked.
So here we're sitting here thinking we're sitting
SMU or Boise.
we're sitting here looking at SMU and Boise State. Now, arguably SMU, man, they're fighting for so much because look at that history. They just got obliterated by the NCAA way
Just
back in the 70s and
80s.
80s, whatever. But Boise State, I am an old native of the city of Boise, Idaho, and man, give me the Broncos.
3 SEC and a Mountain West school. That's nuts.
We're cooked as a nation if that happens.
No, because it's going to happen. The vibes
It just
are,
means
the
more.
vibes are talking.
You
That
know
would
what?
be the
the
epitome.
SEC. The SEC is so good.
That is
yeah.
the epitome of what the SEC is like.
Wants.
See, this is what we need.
The SEC wants to hire Asa because that's what he wants. That's what they want.
He's
I'm not gonna
replacing
lie.
Greg Sankey as commissioner.
I'm not going to listen here. I'm a Midwest boy through and through, but I do love NASCAR, so put me in the South and I'd be pretty happy.
You were the epitome of Talladega Nights.
Yeah, sure.
Ricky Bobby.
All righty. Tennessee, Texas. Now, you're sitting here. You're sitting here thinking, what's the better shade of orange? And what's better, a Longhorn or a Volunteer? This country's built on volunteers. Give me Tennessee.
You got Andrew behind camera going.
Nico
Oh, wow.
Iamaleava is on a Heisman run right now.
To be fair, that's all he does in the video game is run.
Yeah.
He does.
Or
he only
Dylan
runs.
Sampson is Ashton Genty 2.0.
All right.
Will they face off? Whoa! Drum roll.
Georgia versus Boise State. I know what you're thinking, guys. How did we get here? I don't know.
Hey, it's me. You're wondering how I got in this situation.
Give me Georgia.
Oh,
Give me Georgia.
Now a rivalry game for the Natty.
Yep. That's all I got to say. That's all I gotta say.
Man, I wanted to see a Mountain West versus an SEC in the national championship.
I was hoping that
Guys,
you know-
you're acting like it couldn't happen. Anything can happen.
No.
anything can happen.
Anything can
It's
happen.
just crazy to think that this is where we've gotten to.
Yeah. But let's see where we end up. Do you guys remember? I think it was the Halloween episode. And you guys walked off of the set laughing at me, all joking, saying this is never going to happen. You're stupid. You don't know ball. I know ball like no one else knows ball. I know ball in my own way. And you can judge me and you can laugh at me, but at the end of the day, I go to bed and I sleep just fine knowing that Tennessee are going to be the national champions. And I have since the beginning of the year because I called it way back in August. Week 0, I knew that Tennessee were going to be national champions with a freshman quarterback.
Sophomore.
So either me or Asa are going to just be completely wrong about this entire thing.
I think all of us are wrong. We're realizing that.
Oh, you had Penn State, okay.
Penn State, Ohio State, Tennessee.
Alan is the only one who's like actually like I've sat down and gone like, okay, that makes sense because we have Mr. Bias Stat Man over
That's
here.
not biased.
We have the man in the hat who is just chooses the dark horse. Alan, honey, you're the only one who makes sense. Me, I'm a vibration man. Okay, baby.
What about the
They call you
vibes?
freaking
What-
down.
what-
Break
so
it down.
tell me
Do
the
it.
vibes in Tennessee right now.
The
What are
vibes, the vibes in Tennessee. Okay, you're sitting back and you're listening to some George Jones, maybe some Tammy Wynette. All right, but everyone knows that at the end of the night, you're turning on some Conway Twitty and you're listening to Rocky Top. So the vibes never go out in Tennessee. Okay, whether you're in East or West Tennessee, okay,
It's all the same.
If
It's all
Tennessee
the
beats
same.
Ohio State, I will be cheering for them the rest of the
it's
way.
all the same.
Because I love Rocky Top's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
I'm not
That's a
gonna.
dream
I hate.
spot.
I don't like the SEC. I'm not an SEC biased guy. I know my bracket. You're probably thinking, dude, you're an SEC biased guy. I'm not. I hate the SEC. But if there was an SEC team that I would root for, it's gonna be Tennessee.
Is Greg Sankey like putting money in your pockets or something?
I don't know who that is.
It's the SEC
He's the SEC
commissioner.
commissioner. I think you're trying to take his job.
Nope.
I think
It just means more.
it just means more down south.
It just means more.
Just like that Tennessee safety said, the shoe it's nothing like
Turrentine,
Andre
former Buckeye.
Turrentine, former Buckeye. It's nothing like the South. So
It just means more down south, and it
just
just means more here
means more.
at the Ball N Beatz Podcast.
That's right.
You know,
shout out SMU.
Shout
Congrats
out
to the
SMU.
Mustangs for winning the Natty this year.
Shout out the Nittany Lions, and shout out everyone that helps out.
What
here.
would be the craziest, like the most out-of-pocket national championship? Would it be SMU versus Clemson?
SMU
the ACC rematch,
Yeah.
or
yeah.
would it be Indiana versus
Any of those Notre Dame
no.
or Indiana being there would be
Indiana
ridiculous.
versus
Indiana, Arizona State? That's America's
Kurt
championship.
Cignetti versus
That is
Kenny
America's
Dillingham.
championship. Kurt Cignetti, Kenny Dillingham,
That would be
Move
cinema.
Mountains.
It'd be
Hey,
cinema.
Cinema.
Boys.
Yeah.
We're gonna be back in January.
We are going to be back in January.
And
Yeah.
out there to all of our watchers, all of our listeners, we hope that you have a phenomenal holiday season. Enjoy time with your family,
Yes.
and eat a lot of cookies and drink a lot of milk.
Don't forget the carrots for the reindeer either, though.
Yeah, facts.
Merry Christmas.
Before
Real
we do
ones.
go, I do want to say something else, a little personable. As you guys have watched the show, you have seen Kevin, who has been our producer for the longest time. He is no longer producing our podcast, and we have others behind the scenes. Shout out Greg and John and Andrew behind camera for helping us out today. But I just want to say thank you to Kevin and everything that he has done, not just here with our podcast, but everything outside as well. You mean a lot to all of us here, and we love you, Kev. We love you, Kev, and
We do.
you will always be a part of us here, and you are family here. And all I can say is that we love you. So
Can we get a Go Steelers out of you?
go Steelers, go Bucks, and screw the Browns. You know what I'm saying? But
Best wishes.
best wishes to
wishes,
Kevin. But hey, the Ball N Beatz Podcast, we're still going strong, baby.
We're
still
going to
going
take a little
strong.
hiatus, though.
We'll
Yeah,
be back
we're
after
gonna-
the New Year's,
Back
though.
after
Year.
the New Year. We'll be back to, how far will we be in, like, the semifinals when we get back?
Semifinals, maybe the national championship. We'll have to see, and we'll have to dive back into these brackets to be like, who was really bad?
Either me and him is going to be completely wrong and can rip up the bracket.
I already owe you dinner, so I might as well owe you two if Tennessee loses. So
It's all right.
It's all right.
So that's going to wrap up this episode here of the Ball N Beatz Podcast. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit the push notification bell to stay
Merry
up to date
Christmas, y'all.
on all new
And
videos.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Merry Christmas. We'll see y'all next week. Take care. Peace out.